right here, right before Christmas. And this was an example of taking the trip that was pretty powerful. I was working with, I told you guys we started ASLAN in 1996 in my basement. And the year was wrapping up. It was 5 days before Christmas, which is that's about today. It is today. Oh my gosh, this is fitting.
It's your 12-year anniversary.
It is. 20, yeah, more than that. 20, so that's 22-year anniversary. Yeah. So 20, doesn't that feel crazy? That's 22 years ago. I cannot be that old.
I'm impressed.
I'm playing the Grinch right now. So 22 years ago today, I'm in the basement, and it's awful. We had started the company in January, and it was now 5 days before Christmas, the end of that year, and I'm broke. I mean, I got nothing. And I'm 100% commission, obviously. And, Tom, we both kind of were doing our own thing, make your own money. We'll share a basement. We'll throw in a little bit of money to buy some cards we made at Kinko's and bought 2 cheap computers. But I've got nothing. I've now gone about 3.5 months with no work, so I've made no money. And I already spent all the money I had starting this crazy thing. So I'm broke. Tom's great. He's out there doing whatever. And so it's like so miserable. And my wife hates me. She's like, what do we do? We're dying here. We have no money. And I'm like, but it's my dream. And she's like, we need cash. Forget your dream. I'm like, but honey, I just don't have much to stand on.
Dream of
Yeah, a dream and pay the bills. So and I'm tapping out my credit cards, that whole thing. So I make her a deal. I said, listen, if I don't have anything in the new year, I will deliver pizzas and I'll paint houses. It's 2 skills I had. So I'm down in the basement. I'm literally cold calling. I mean, I've got a little space heater. It's freezing cold, and it's just awful. And have you ever done any prospecting 5 days before Christmas? Very good environment for it, right? Everybody's great and wanting to talk to you, and all available. Yeah, but what else am I going to do? So I'm just down there in the basement, ring. Well, I pull up, I find a lead. We had gone to this trade show in Dallas a couple weeks before, and I had met a couple people. So I find this company. It was called EBSCO Industries in Birmingham, Alabama, and I had the name of the VP of sales I'd gotten from a salesperson in their booth. Because I couldn't afford to go to that show, but I afforded to buy the booth badge. So I wandered around the trade show with Tom, and we walked into people's booths because we knew we could meet companies all jammed together. I mean, they hated us. They're like, why are you bothering me? You're a sales guy. No, exactly. Sorry. I'm kind of broke, and this is it. So that's what we were doing. It is funny to think back some of the things you do when you have no money. But anyway, so I had gotten this guy's name. So I called Jack Briard, VP of Sales. Ring, and expecting nothing. He answers the phone. Jack Briard. I'm like, Jack! Of course I'm going, wait a minute. I just had your voice. Yeah, what do I say? I said, well, Jack, I just had Norris with ASLAN Training Development. I met a couple of your salespeople at the show in Dallas. He goes, oh, yes. And so was it a good show? He goes, oh, it was awesome. Blah, blah, blah. I said, great, me too. I said, well, listen, I talked to him. He said you guys had an initiative going on with some of your outbound people calling into some hospitals, and I just wanted to see if any of our solutions could be impactful to help you as you go forward with this initiative. Do you have a couple minutes to talk about it? He goes, sure. So what just happened? I was like looking around like, wait a minute, what is going on here? So what did I do? You think about from the OCS, what did I just do? Engage, right? I got a commitment for a discovery meeting. And so I was like, well, I said, well, great. Well, tell me a little bit about this. And he says, well, they're doing this and this and this. And I said, well, any skill gaps that you have for that team? And he goes, well, yeah, they suck. I was like, oh. So what do I want to do at that moment? Everything within me wants to pitch. Like we were talking about this yesterday. I want to pitch. I'm starting to take the trip, and I hear that. I want to go, Jack, I'm your guy. I'll train him up tomorrow. I'll do it on Christmas Day. You can give me a deposit check. Everything within me. And don't your salespeople, doesn't that happen sometimes?
Oh, yeah.
They see the shiny object, and they want to spring on it. But somehow, I kept myself together. And I said, Jack, sounds like we may be able to help you there. I said, but if I can learn a little more about the entire organization and everything you have going on, we can figure out, see if we can put a solution together for you. Does that sound familiar? Don't we need our salespeople at Cox Media to do more of that?
Yes.
And so we got, so we got these 10 doing outbound, so what about inbound? Do you guys have an inbound environment? Oh, he goes, oh gosh, yeah. He goes, well, I didn't talk about that. He goes, oh yeah, we've got 10 here, and 20 here, and 30 here, and 25 here, and 17 here, and 14 here, and I'm like going, now you have to realize, at this point, my max I have trained is like 22 people at once. That was like my big project. So I'm sitting here, now I'm getting shaky. I'm going like, what, 150 people? I'm way in over my head. I'm 29 years old, and I'm clueless, and I'm an idiot. I'm talking to this VP of sales of $1 billion company. What have I done? All this is going in my head. And so I said, well, I thought it worked last time, so I'll try it again. Any gaps with this group? And he goes, no, they're killing it. They're crushing it. They just won the I'm not saying this right, but it's like the JD Power Customer Service Award, you know, or something like that. And he said they just do it, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, that's awesome. I said, you know, it's so great to hear some of the other stories. I said, you said something that's interesting, that they are processing orders from these these doctors and hospitals. Now, are they upselling or cross-selling, or are they just processing? And he went, well, they're not doing that. You do that kind of training? I was like, I'll wash your car. I can do anything you want me to do. You know, at this moment, you know how bad off I am right now. And I mean, it was really powerful. And he goes, well, and then he goes, I said, well, yeah. I said, it sounds like there may be something here. Now I'm starting to get a little nervous. Now I'm thinking, I've done my 3-minute discovery meeting, right? So I now have to get in front of this guy. So I said, Jack, here's what I'd like to do. Sounds like there could be some opportunity there. I said, you guys are gonna laugh, because I said, I will offer you a free assessment. Like, I will come over to Birmingham and I will give you a whole day of my time, and I'll assess your team and I'll show you where you have gaps, and if we can help, great. If not, that's totally fine. You get a free assessment out of it. All I ask is that you pay my expenses. Because I couldn't afford it. I was like, I don't even have gas money, you know? And so he said, deal, great. And he said, I hate to even say this, is there any way you could come tomorrow?
How about it?
I'm like, Jack, I'm going to be cold calling in the basement. I don't know that I can squeeze you in. I was like, road trip, I can leave the house without my wife getting mad at me. So I literally, he said, it's crazy, but all my team, it's kind of like all my team's here, because it's slow, and we decided to do a leadership meeting this week. And so I've got all my team here, and we got a skeleton shift. It'd be awesome. And I'm like, I literally, the next morning, drive to Birmingham. I spend the day. Next thing you know, I'm in front of this whole group. I mean, it was the easiest selling I've ever done, right? Because I had completely taken the trip, and I knew what they wanted to do. And I'm like, well, guys, you're trying to do this over these next 2 years. You got to do these 5 things. And I laid them out. And I said, you can use ASLAN to do all 5 of them. We have expertise in all 5 of those. And I knew I did in my brain. I didn't quite have done it yet, but I knew I could. I didn't tell them that. And or you do it all yourself, but you have to do these 5 things. And they said, we need you, sign us up, we'll get started in January. And they became a fantastic client. We trained 150 or so people, we certified their managers, and they were just an awesome client. But it was so amazing how the power of take the trip. Isn't that true? Because what would have happened if I had pitched when I saw the shiny object of 10?
Yeah, even if you'd gotten something, you wouldn't have gotten what you could.
No.
Yeah.
And here's what's crazy. What I kind of get, it's fun how you learn what kind of, when you get on the other side of it, you kind of look back. It turns out those 10 people didn't even move the dial. They didn't even matter. It was a need, but it really didn't mean much. You know what I'm saying? These 100 plus meant a lot, because if they got a smidge better, it drove margin. So if I had done that, I don't even think they would have invested. And if they had, I would have come across as desperate as I was. So isn't that powerful? So, and I say that because I think that it just shows the power of take the trip from a sales perspective, but also from a coaching perspective. Because it's the same thing. We miss stuff. If we jump too early, we miss stuff. We think we know everything, and we don't.